Hello, and welcome to Inner Spark, the channel where stories light up your soul and push you forward. This story reminds us that life struggles are not punishments but lessons. It teaches us that gratitude is the key to happiness, even when circumstances seem unfair. By valuing small blessings, we unlock the strength to overcome big challenges. If you find inspiration in this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who need a spark of motivation. Now let's begin. Oliver was a young man in London who seemed to have everything yet felt as though he had nothing. He worked in a well-known publishing house, lived in a modest flat, and had friends who cared about him. But no matter what, he was never satisfied. He envied his colleagues who drove expensive cars, traveled abroad, and posted glamorous lives on social media. At night, he often lay awake thinking about how unfair life was. He thought he deserved more, though he never appreciated what was already in front of him. One rainy evening, Oliver was in a foul mood. His train had been delayed, his shoes were soaked, and he was annoyed at his boss. As he trudged across the street, he saw a homeless man sitting under a bridge. The man wore torn clothes, had no shelter, yet smiled faintly while humming a tune. This unsettled Oliver. How could someone with nothing look happier than him? Shaking his head, he rushed home, but the image of that smile burned in his mind. Days passed, yet Oliver couldn't shake the memory of the man. At work, while staring at his computer, he kept wondering how someone with so little could seem more at peace than him. One evening, curiosity won. He bought 2 hot meals and returned to the bridge. The homeless man greeted him warmly, as though Oliver had brought gold instead of simple food. They sat together, and Oliver learned his name was Levi. That night, Oliver walked away humbled, his heart carrying questions he had ignored for years. Levi's story was far from ordinary. Once a skilled carpenter, he had built furniture for wealthy families. But after an accident injured his back, he spiraled into debt and addiction, losing everything: his home, his workshop, and even his marriage. Now he lived on the streets, surviving one day at a time. But despite all this, Levi said, "Every morning I wake up and I thank God I still have breath. Gratitude is the only thing that keeps me alive." Oliver was speechless, realizing this man saw blessings in places he himself overlooked. For the first time in years, Oliver walked home and noticed small things: the glow of lamps, the smell of rain-soaked earth, the warmth of his bed. He began writing down 3 things he was grateful for each morning: his flat, his morning coffee, his mother's voice on the phone. At first it felt silly, but slowly Oliver felt lighter. He laughed more. People at work noticed he seemed happier, though nothing major had changed. Gratitude was quietly reshaping his world. Yet life wasn't done testing him. A month later, Oliver applied for a promotion he had been dreaming of. When the results came, he was rejected. The old Oliver would have sulked, cursed his luck, and compared himself bitterly with others. But this time he paused. He remembered Levi's words: "Be thankful for the chance to try." Though disappointed, Oliver chose to see the rejection as a chance to grow. He worked harder, determined to improve without bitterness. Meanwhile, Oliver and Levi became friends. Oliver often brought food, sometimes just sat and listened, and even helped Levi apply for temporary housing. One evening, Levi said something that shook Oliver deeply. "You saved me, Oliver. People give money, but you gave time. Gratitude grows when it's shared." Tears welled up in Oliver's eyes, realizing that kindness didn't just heal Levi, it healed him too. Gratitude had come full circle, binding 2 unlikely friends together. But then came a twist. Levi disappeared from his usual spot. Oliver searched the streets, asked around shelters, and even checked hospitals. Weeks later, he discovered Levi had been arrested after being wrongly accused of theft at a shop. Shocked and angry, Oliver visited him in custody. Despite the situation, Levi smiled and said, "This too shall pass. I am grateful you came." Oliver felt a surge of responsibility. He couldn't let the system swallow his friend. Oliver hired a lawyer using his savings, fighting to clear Levi's name. His colleagues thought he was foolish for helping a homeless man, but Oliver ignored them. After a long battle, the truth came out. Levi was innocent, and the charges were dropped. The day Levi was released, he hugged Oliver tightly, whispering, "Not all wealth is in money. You're the richest man I know." For Oliver, those words were worth more than any promotion or raise. Life moved forward. Oliver still faced challenges, debts, work stress, long nights, but gratitude had become his shield. He began volunteering at shelters, inspired by Levi's resilience. On weekends, he shared his story with others, telling them how gratitude had transformed his bitterness into peace. Strangers often told him, "Your words gave me hope." Oliver realized that gratitude wasn't just personal, it was a light meant to be shared widely. Months later, another storm hit. Oliver's publishing house announced layoffs. Fear rippled through the office, but Oliver stayed calm. When his turn came, he was spared, not because of luck, but because his positive attitude had made him valuable to the team. His boss told him, "We need people like you, steady and uplifting." Oliver realized then that gratitude had not only changed his heart, but also his future. Then came a painful blow. Levi fell ill and was admitted to the hospital. Oliver rushed to see him and found him frail, but still smiling. "Don't be sad," Levi whispered. "Be grateful we met." Tears streamed down Oliver's face. He sat by Levi's side every evening, reading to him, laughing with him, and holding his hand through the darkest nights. Gratitude wasn't just about moments of joy. It was about holding on to love in moments of pain. Miraculously, Levi recovered slowly. Doctors said his willpower had played a big role. Oliver often told him, "You taught me gratitude, and it saved us both." Together, they began speaking at community events, sharing their story with schools, shelters, and organizations. People were inspired, and many began practicing gratitude in their own lives. The seed Levi had planted now blossomed far beyond the two of them. Years later, Oliver finally received a promotion. Unlike before, he didn't celebrate with pride, but with humility. He treated his colleagues to dinner, thanking them for their support, and gave a portion of his bonus to the shelter that once housed Levi. Happiness, he realized, was no longer tied to wealth but to purpose. The boy who once envied others had become a man others admired, not for riches but for gratitude. One evening, Oliver stood by the Thames River, watching the reflection of city lights ripple across the water. He thought of the restless man he used to be and the grateful man he had become. Behind him, Levi joined, smiling. "Funny, isn't it? You once pitied me, and now I pity no one," Levi said with a laugh. Together they stood, two men forever changed by gratitude. And then came another twist. Levi, with Oliver's encouragement, decided to restart his carpentry. With Oliver's help, they rented a small workshop. Slowly, Levi began crafting furniture again, selling pieces online and to local shops. What began as survival turned into a business. People who once ignored Levi now admired his resilience, and his work became a symbol of second chances. Oliver felt proud, not because of success, but because gratitude had rebuilt a man's dignity. To make it even more special, Oliver and Levi turned the workshop into more than just a business. They began hiring people who had struggled, homeless men, recovering addicts, and those searching for redemption. It became a place of second chances built on gratitude and hope. Local newspapers began covering their story, calling it the Workshop of Light. Oliver knew then that the journey of gratitude had grown far beyond himself, becoming a movement that would inspire countless others. The journey of Oliver and Levi shows us that gratitude is not just a habit, but a lifeline. It turns bitterness into peace, rejection into growth, and strangers into family. Happiness doesn't come from what we have, but from how we see it. So, be grateful, be happy, and let your inner spark shine brightly every day. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to spread the message of gratitude and happiness.